Friends, we have a big problem because Riot doesn't really care about what is broken right now, and this will be actually proven with today's video. We'll talk about the 5 most broken champions, still unnerfed, still untouched, and probably will never get touched for whatever reason. Let's start with Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa in a solo queue context is an absolute demon. Some people play her AD, but most of the people play her as an AP champion. Her scaling is absurd in a solo queue context. She hits you with a second ability and then just instantly kills you. The biggest issue with her is her wave clear and then her dueling potential. She walks up to you with a mana mune, presses her first ability, and half your HP is gone with just one hit plus the ability itself. So what do you do about this? Well, technically speaking, you would not trade with her or trade into her in these kind of situations. However, well, you know how solo queue people are and just get instantly obliterated. Now, as the game goes on, and depending what evolve the Kai'Sa uses on her second item spike, with a W evolve or a third abilities evolve, you will get into deep trouble. However, the latest, on 3 items, Kai'Sa will absolutely kill your team. The reason for this is rather simple. Your team will not make any attempt of dodging her second ability, and when she has Mana Immune, Nash's Tooth, and for example Riftmaker, well, you best believe these pot shots are gonna get you killed, and the moment you isolate for one tiny fraction of a second, you best believe she's gonna jump in with a killer instinct and get you killed. And if you want to be even more annoying, you can think about a Rabadon's Death Cap after, and then even if you don't really need a Void Staff, you can think about, for example, about an Essence Reaver. Well, it always depends on the enemy's magic resistance, obviously. But with the Essence Reaver, for example, you never run out of mana, which is the biggest issue for typical mana immune champions nowadays. Even Ezreal wants the Essence Reaver as fast as possible after mana immune into Sheen into Essence Reaver. Reason is, you use so much more mana than in the past because all your spells now consume extra mana to do extra damage, and you really need it. Trust me, you should take a look at it. Oh yeah, and please, for the love of God, don't get baited by Conqueror Kai'Sa in solo queue. With the combination of a lethal tempo and brutal, you will get so much more in terms of solo kills and just everything. Conqueror is only really helpful if you can never auto-attack in the first place. If you however can't auto-attack, Conqueror is better. Next champion we need to talk about is Evelynn. This champion is dumb as hell. So many Evelynn 1-tricks still live under the illusion that you shouldn't take sudden impact, you shouldn't rush Prophet's Pendant in combination with Mana Boots, and rather rush anything else like for example a Rabadon's Death Cap. Number 1, you pick your champion into a team where you're probably the only AP champion, so the enemy team doesn't have it as easy to just buy Mercury strats. Now, if you are the only AP champion, what about just rushing Boots of Mana with Sudden Impact and Prophet's Pendant? Your boots are 1400 gold plus 1000 from Prophet's Pendant, and your boots are 55 AP, your Prophet's Pendant is 30 AP, which is then 85, in combination to, behold, it's 33 pen thanks to Sudden Impact. If you add your second ability's percentage shred on top, no champion on the first item will ever in the history of WildRift will have enough magic resist to not be taking true damage from you. Now, what is the problem with this? Obviously, take a look at your base damage and your typical spell damage. If you do a full rotation into an enemy champion, you see that their HP bar just evaporates, and it only gets worse as the game goes on, and people don't just get magic resistance for free, they have to itemize into it, whereas you just build it for a spike. And after your spike, things get substantially worse for the enemy champion, because now, after your spike of Prophet's Pendant and your Mana Boots, you can just buy a Rabadon's Death Cap. And once you have that, who is gonna survive? Nobody. And the issue is, it gets even worse and nobody can survive. Literally no one, not even bruiser champions or tanks. With Lich Bane and Void Stuff later on, you'll one-tap people through exhaust, through tankiness, it literally doesn't matter. And the only way you possibly can lose is you have 4 monkeys on your team running it down like absolute clowns, like Krusty from The Simpsons, and that's the only way you can lose. I'm literally out of my mind. This champion needs to be nerfed and people still mess up with her. And the next champion is equally as bad, it's Kayn. However, Kayn on the other hand at least takes some time to get his form. By the way, not long if you take Shimmering Spark and just die 1 or 2 times, you get your form at like 3 minutes consistently, depending on the solo queue game you're in, funnily enough by the way, and then the game is basically over if the enemy team can't do anything against you. They need the top tier champions that can literally one-tap you out of a wall to do anything into you. If they can't, you instantly clear your jungle camps, which you're, well, very proficient in doing so, and then you just traverse the map in an instant with your third ability, because obviously you go blue Kayn, always, like 99.9% of the games, unless you literally have no angle of going for the blue Kayn. With blue Kayn, you have Mana Immune and Essence Reaver, and then you just cast your second ability to take the entire enemy's HP bar away without them being able to do anything to you, and this is the problem. Let's just compare Kayn to a mage. A mage is not very mobile, right? He just sits behind, throws a spell and pokes you. So what about a champion that is hyper mobile, cannot be slowed when he's in a wall thanks to his third ability, and then hits you with a spell that takes 50% of your HP bar to then jump into you from Narnia Southwest and goes out in, I don't know, New York. Like, you can't catch this champion unless he wants to be caught, or you have champions that can literally lock him down in an instant and you're very aware of the situation. But most of the time, you don't even see him, you just see the little orb, he uses his second ability, and you're dead. Lovely design, lovely champion. Similar to, for example, Evelynn. The other champion I could talk about would be Kha'Zix, but well, Kha'Zix is another case and I don't want to, hate all of these champions. But well, these champions with first strike, just not fair. We can just add Kha'Zix to the list, but I will not talk about this little insect because, well, he's also too broken and will not get nerfed. Surprise! But the next champion is also having the same problems. Diana. Again, a champion that can utilize sudden impact with Prophet's Pendant and Boots of Mana, which means into a squishy constellation, you will one-tap people super fast because of your high mobility in fights. If you learn how to use your first ability in combination with your third ability, you will absolutely go crazy. But please, if you play jungle, don't troll, don't start with your buff, and don't level your shield second. It's absolutely wasteful. Whatever streamer you're seeing, if they do this, they are griefing. There's like 1 or 2 jungle people, for example Vex, who is really good at jungling, but don't watch the other people for jungle guides. If you want to clear your jungle, start with your first ability at Crux most of the time. And then if you hit, or as you hit the red buff, you skill your third ability, and now it's about getting your passive resets. Every single time you cast a spell, the next 3 attacks of yours will have increased attack speed. Now if you do it well, you can obviously chain your first and third ability in a sequence that will net you more resets on your passive and therefore a faster clear speed. This will be really powerful the moment you hit other camps, or just use camps to transition towards other camps, etc, etc. But don't grieve yourself with your second ability. The cooldown is just way too high for no reason, it doesn't even reset and barely does any damage. And funnily enough, Diana would be the weakest champion out of all of the people mentioned. She is by far the weakest, and just imagine this champion one-taps you, and it's still the weakest out of this entire list, and even the next champion is 50 billion times stronger, and here we have Gragas. Whereas Diana is a highly committal champion that if she's in, is in, Gragas just doesn't care. Gragas can go for the entirely similar setup of Boots of Mana, Sudden Impact, and Prophet's Pendant. In case you didn't get the memo, this is really broken, and everyone who says something else is absolutely clueless. Yes, people can just buy magic resist. Yeah, I would love to see the enemy buy Mercury Test as their first item. Surely these 1400 gold invested will help them win their lane. Spoiler, they will be absolutely useless. But well, who am I to tell you, right? Anyway, let's get back to business. For Gragas, being an efficient jungle clear is very powerful, but your champion is also very powerful as a support, as a mid laner, as a Baron laner, and well, as a jungler. And for this again, you want to focus and prioritize fully clearing your jungle and don't go for coin flip plays. These coin flip plays are absolutely useless as you're hyper scaling. Every AP champion is hyper scaling and you have clear distinctive golds and power spikes you can play around. Right now, it's your Boots of Mana and Prophet's Pendant, which is one of the earliest spikes possible because your items are dirt cheap in comparison. After this, Ludens, then for example Rabadon, Void Staff, and well, everybody will just disappear right in front of you. And the biggest thing about Gragas is that his ultimate is a clear game changer. You can choose the outcome of a fight or determine the outcome of a fight without even committing anything in terms of your body to it, because you can play it absolutely safe. And the moment you tag somebody with your ultimate and split the fight apart, you can instantly follow up with your belly flop right into the enemy's face and one-tap them because your damage numbers are really well balanced. And if you want to know more about jungle clearing and generally have an idea about how you can fully clear your jungle or get a reference, what do you think about making jungle clear shorts? We thought about this, we tested it out, and we think it's a really great idea to help people in the jungle department to stop griefing, stop doing free camps into Scuttle and Flip. You've seen it on many streams, and oh spoiler alert, they are 50% win rate people. Don't follow their advice. Thank you, and now see you at the next video.